This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. It's Wednesday today, which means that we're looking at a viewer question. If you have any questions that you'd like to see featured on the channel, then drop me a line, jrguitartuition@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment down below, or you can use the contact form on my website. You can see the address at the top of the screen there, and the link is in the description. Get in touch via any of those means, ask your question, and it might just get featured on this Wednesday viewers question slot. One chap who did get in touch was called Chris, and this was his question.
Lesson suggestion. What to play as a lead guitarist? I don't mean in the sense of taking a solo, but what to play during a song when the other guy is strumming the chords on an acoustic and singing. This role is rarely addressed by YouTube tutorials, but top players seem to instinctively be able to play an appropriate second accompaniment.
That's a really good question. What to do when as a lead guitarist when you're not playing lead guitar? Do you just kind of go into, some kind of cowboy chord strumming kind of thing? Well, that's not what I do. Coming up in a second, you're going to see a piece of music where there's a main melody played on, let me get it. Main melody played on Blondie here, my signature guitar, and that's there in lieu of a vocal part because you really don't want to hear me sing, trust me. So we're going to treat that as if that's the vocal part, the main melody, and then you'll see me on this guitar playing, this is my PRS, you'll see me playing some kind of twiddly bits and fills and stuff in between in the sort of natural pauses in the melody, and it goes like this. And here's an explanation of the kind of stuff I was getting up to in that little piece. Right then, so as a lead guitar player, whilst you're not playing lead guitar, whilst the vocals or some other main melody is happening, you have two main jobs, and the first is probably the most important thing to remember, and that is don't get in the way of the melody. You don't want to sound like you're competing with the instrument or the singer that is in the limelight, and you don't want to sound like you're trying to play over the top of them. And probably the best way of doing that is just to hit quick little stabs on beats 2 and 4 of the bar. I think it was Freddie Green, Count Basie's guitarist, said in this kind of situation it should sound like the snare drum is playing a D. So just hitting on beats 2 and 4 of the bar like this. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. And that will just be enough to kind of make your presence felt, but you're not going to be getting in the way of anything. Then, when there's a natural gap in the melody, a pause for breath, if you like, that's the time to just put in the odd little fill. And one of the main things I like to do here is to use a pentatonic approach. So let's take that D major chord there, and I'm going to take this part of it and play it with that finger, which then gives me access to the D major pentatonic. Like this, so I can go like that kind of thing, and maybe even kind of bridge into that from this chord shape here. So like that. Perfect little fill, and it's just doing these kind of double stops out of that pentatonic shape and putting these little kind of flicky hammer-on, pull-off kind of things on. Like that, and it still sounds quite chordy, so it still kind of feels more like a rhythm guitar part, but it's got some contours to it. It's not just kind of a steady flat strum. That D major idea there, of course, well, it's D major pentatonic, and every pentatonic is both major and minor. There's a relative minor. So if you know that the relative minor of D major is B minor, then you can use all of those same ideas in a B minor context as well. So you could go during the sort of demo piece, you probably saw me doing that, but I tend to like to do the minor chord like this as a minor seventh with my thumb round the top, muting the fifth string, because I just find it easier to kind of go into more of a pentatonic-y kind of thing like that. So I often like to add the ninth in here like that as well. If you're not sure what the ninth is, it's just a posh name for the note which is 2 frets above your root note. So B minor, B, root note, there's the ninth, 2 frets above it, it's a C sharp. So you can get like that. Just bringing that note in just adds a nice little bit of colour to proceedings. Other kind of licks that you can use, well, again, let's look at a pentatonic kind of approach like that. Very much a similar kind of thing to, well, it's the same pattern, just coming out that pattern 1 kind of thing. So down here, when I was hitting the A chord, like that, just maybe putting the same sort of hammer-on, pull-offy sort of stuff as you saw me doing up here, but, adding a bend. But even when I'm doing the bend, it's as part of a double stop to try and kind of make it sound more chordy than just a single note line. And then I think a part of where there was an E chord in the demo piece, I did this kind of faux pedal steel lick. Like that, like that kind of thing, very cliched, but it works. Other things you can do, more chord-based ideas. So often when it was going to the G chord, I would be playing the G chord like this. There's essentially that D that we looked at earlier, and if I put this shape on in front of it, I think of it as the Alright Now shape, like that, then up here that becomes a G. And then when I went to the A at one point, like that, that is an A chord. Now, interestingly, these notes that I'm hammering on from are not in key. They are, well, for want of a better way of putting it, wrong notes. But because you're only hearing them as grace notes, as kind of notes that are just a launch pad to get to the the chord, they don't sound wrong, they just sound a little bit colourful. And speaking of adding a bit of colour, adding suspensions to chords as well. There's this sort of very Hendrixy kind of thing like that. Take this bar chord shape, in this case for an A, and play the baby version of it like that with your thumb round the top. If you can't get your thumb round the top, then it's not the end of the world, because that's just providing a bass note, and the bass player is doing that anyway. So as long as you are careful enough to just be able to strum on these strings here, then, you know, like that. And then you've got on the top 3 strings, three notes that you can add in just to provide a little bit of colour. So you're adding a sus4, you're adding a 6th, and you're adding a 9th. So something like that. That's just enough kind of movement. You're still playing a chord, but there's kind of as I say, movement. It has contours. It has some kind of flow to it that makes it more than just a strummy kind of static chord. And quite often when you do that, like there's a C chord in that demo piece, when you do that, you're actually adding an F note there. Again, completely out of key, a wrong note, but it adds colour because you're not hanging around on it, and it's not going to cause any massive problems if you're just kind of going to flick on and off it like that. It just sounds just a little bit colourful and attention grabbing. So adding pentatonic things from this chord, based around that pentatonic shape there, doing all of the other kind of things like that, etc. Other things you can do, nearly forgot to mention this, double stops. There was one point in the piece there where I played that lick there. That's just a little bit of hybrid picking, doing some sixths based on those two notes there. Come from an A chord. These two notes here come from an A chord. So, like that, and maybe just join them like that. You could extend that out across the whole scale. Maybe if we're playing there over that A chord in the key of D major, that A is essentially a Mixolydian chord. So like that. I've done videos on that whole kind of double stops in a bluesy kind of Mixolydian setting in the past, so go and search those out if you're interested. So couple all of that with the whole idea of just, hanging back, not getting in the way of the vocals, and just kind of hitting on the 2 and the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And where there's a natural gap, just throw in some of those ideas that you've seen there based upon whatever chord is happening at that moment in the tune. So, now you know what to do. Go away and have some fun with it. And as always, you'll find a full tab for that whole piece of music that we looked at in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats. The clip of me playing it, that explanation you've just seen there, and a couple of jam tracks. I'll be generous, a couple of jam tracks. I'll do a jam track without the melody, so in case you just want to use it as a sort of lead guitar jam track to noodle over. But I'll also, kind of do the jam track with the melody, but without the twiddly kind of in between the melody bits that I was playing on the PRS. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address and the link is in the description. $3 or £2.50 a month gets you access to all of these additional resources that go along with these YouTube videos. A massive, massive thank you to everyone who supports me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are also linked down in the description. And that is pretty much it for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the video and found it useful and informative in some small way, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. Why not drop me a like while you're at it? Don't forget, as always, the live stream every Friday 5 PM UK time. We drink beer, we talk about music and guitars and many other things, whatever crops up. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.